Well, welcome to another Inside Lansing. Today's guest is Fabian Newman, Director of the IT Department for the Village of Lansing. Fabian, thanks for coming on the show again.
Thanks again, Neil. Yeah, it's exciting to always be here and just let people know exactly what's going on with our department.
We want to get into that, but the first thing I thought I'd ask you, we've never asked you this question. Usually we ask you, what does IT do? But you've already given that answer. So I was wondering, what does Lansing's IT do that might be different than other IT departments?
Well, we touch a lot of different things. So I always say that our IT department handles anything with a battery. And we initially, when I was first hired, did a lot of communication stuff. So it was a communications director and IT director. So we kind of always had to be a part of any promotions we did. So whether it be visual as far as graphics, or whether it be video, or whether it be just pictures. So we've always really delved deep into the communications piece. Sometimes IT departments keep those separate as like, oh, this is our communications, our marketing department, this is our IT department, and so forth. We tend to kind of work really hand in hand with all the different marketing aspects of the village. So that's one big thing. We have a tendency to kind of get involved with a lot of pieces when projects are going around town, and there's things where they may ask us to get video coverage of via drone and looking at cameras, so we may look at cameras for footage for our police department. So that's a part of the IT department that that a lot of other IT departments don't really have to deal with.
So it sounds like you guys have kind of a bigger scope to deal with than what most IT departments do. Most are probably just behind a computer all day long.
Well, yeah, that, and obviously we still do all the day-to-day, like going to individuals, working with them on a help desk portion or whatever computer issues they have. But for us, yeah, definitely we're really hands-on with a lot of different departments.
Now, the other question I was thinking about when we were talking about IT department is, maybe you could give me some insight on what do you think makes a great IT department?
Well, even part of what I just said before with communication. So it's the idea of being able to, when someone has an issue, being able to explain it to them and how they can fix that issue and come to a solution. I always tell my staff, if you have a problem, that's fine. Let's figure out a solution. I don't like to go to my boss and give him a problem if I don't have a solution.
Yeah.
So I always I don't even tell him the problem until I have a solution.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, just because, and then not just from me, I may get it from, I'll involve other people, or if he needs to be involved, then yes, he's definitely involved. But I prefer to always go to people and say, okay, well, what's the issue? All right, and now how can we meet your needs so you feel comfortable with how we're addressing it? So as an IT staff, it's all about communicating with people, because when they're having an issue with their computer or a program and they don't know how to use it, they get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated. So we have to make sure that
technology is easy to get
yeah,
frustrated
definitely.
with. Everybody has that issue.
Exactly. I feel as if I get frustrated with technology sometimes, because I'm ready to go, go, go. However, there's times when I'm like, okay, slow down, Fabian. Understand that even though you want to go this, we have to take it in stride.
Is it kind of the idea that people, I think, kind of forget, is that you're dealing with programs and systems that were created by other people, so they're not all made the same.
Correct.
So that makes it kind of a difficult process at times.
Yeah, and not every person uses the program the right way or in a way they could use it. So there are some people that if they need help with Photoshop, I may help them with that. But then there's other people I'm like, well, you know what? Photoshop is probably not going to be, it took, for me to really understand Photoshop, it took me about a year. And I said, people, when they're ready to fix something or they need something designed or created, I said, well, you may have to use a different program. So we may use Canva or, whatever other programs that are much simpler, easier to operate. So I believe that that's the key, is just meeting people where they're at and finding out where they're comfortable and where their range is. And we have to just kind of meet them there, and so they're feeling much more at ease.
So you talked about people getting used to working with certain systems. You have to coach them a bit. You have to be there to help out. And you have to kind of set it up yourself to make sure it works well. So one of the systems that's fairly new now or being implemented soon is the OpenGov system. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
You want to run through a little bit about what that's about and how it will affect residents?
Yeah, so this is, I'm really excited. We've been working on OpenGov for roughly the last 2 years, but now we're at the point of full-on implementation with the platform that would be really working directly with the residents. So it's basically a platform where we can basically grab 3 or 4 different programs that we've historically used at the village and now morph them all into one. So the beauty of it is that, say for example, we type in an address in town. So say it's 1132 Henry Street or whatever address we type in. If we type it into the platform, once we have an account in OpenGov, we'll be able to see a full-on history of everything that happens at that address. So whether it be a building permit violation, so for example, if they've had high grass, for example, if they are late on their water bill, we'll be able to put all those different programs that we've historically had and put it in one platform so that every staff member at the village who is working within that will be able to just type in the address and see what the information that they're going to need, as opposed to now having to send an email to another department and say, hey, by the way, has this person done this or this? And so rather than now waiting for people to get back to them, they can go in and get the information themselves. So it's going to be really, it's going to be a game changer for us as a village.
I can imagine. That's going to be great for residents, great for people who are working there. You said like a 3-in-1, so it's probably taking away a lot of work on your end, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be, to set it up is, as I said, we've been working on it for over almost 2 years. But for us, we're in the full-on implementation of training staff now with how it's going to help change their workflow. So it's all about making workflow easier, and we want people to work faster, better. However, we don't want to make them feel as if it's something that completely is beyond their scope. So we're really excited about what it's going to be able to do and how it's going to expedite processes, whether it be permits. So if a resident needs to get a permit, they can set up an account, go online, type out everything they need, upload all the documents they need without having to come to Village Hall. So historically, you've always had to come to Village Hall, pay your fee for whatever the permit is that you want. Then you have to fill out the application and give it to the building department, going into 2 different lines. And then now you'll have to leave, and then we would call you back and say when it's ready. However, now all that can be done in the span of, a day.
Lickety split.
Correct. Yeah. And truth be told, you'll even be able to pay online. You'll be able to get all that information, and then even print off your permit yourself, so you don't even have to physically come into Village Hall. So it's going to really expedite the process, not just for residents, but also contractors.
Well, it's great to have that. I know residents will be probably very pleased. I'm sure you'll never hear a word from them, because if something works, you typically don't hear from people.
Yeah, that's the world of IT, though. It's they will immediately, they'll talk about you like a dog if something's not working.
Yeah.
However, everyone's quiet as a church mouse.
Yeah, if you don't hear anything, that's sometimes the best praise for whatever you're doing.
No
right?
news is good news.
No news is good news.
For sure.
Speaking of news, I know there's a few other projects you've been working on. Maybe you could fill us in a little bit about some other projects recently that are either close to being implemented or have just been implemented.
So one of the things that we've been working on as well is with our village, one of our village architect, GMA. We've been working on renovations at the Patty Leach Youth Center, which is this building, as well as the new Public Works building. So Public Works has been in basically a trailer for the last going on 9 years now, or 10 years actually. 10 years they've been in a trailer, and it was only supposed to be a temporary thing to fix because we had a roof issue at the time 10 years ago. And so, however, because of finances, COVID, a whole slew of things happened in that time span, and everything kind of had to be pushed back, and finally our current village board decided, you know what, it's time to really, with our previous mayor, Mayor Item, and then now finishing everything is Mayor Hardy. So we're excited by the change that's going to have and the benefits that will be for the public works staff in general. They've had a rough time of it for several years,
Yes.
and considering what their facilities were compared to the rest of the village.
Yeah, it's been a long time now. What about, I know there's also new additions that you've made to our board meetings, is that correct?
Yes. So with the board meetings, we have to, we have certain rules as far as Robert's rules. We have to post agenda in a certain time frame and so forth, and we understand that. And so one of the things that we've implemented is trying to be paperless. So that means we've moved to a software called Diligent, which really excited. There's lots of other softwares out there, Board Book, and there's lots of other ones out there. But we decided to choose Diligent. We've been really excited with all the testing that we've been able to do internally. And then we did a soft launch with it for our last board meeting. And then this next one coming up is actually going to be fully using the Diligent platform. And so what that allows us to do is every board member will have a device, an iPad, that they'll be able to open up and see the agenda, all attachments associated with each of the items on the agenda, as well as for the regular board meeting, as well as the COW, the Committee of the Whole meeting. So we're really excited by that because they'll be able to see everything fully. So if they need to go back to a document, they don't have to carry, we would carry paper pretty much about this high of documents, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to look through this, and how many trees did we kill? So we're really trying to obviously be paperless, and the beauty of it is they'll be able to annotate. So they'll be able to put in their own notes in there, and then these notes will be,
And they'll just,
the notes will help them. So if they need to say they look at something, 2 days before the board meeting,
yeah.
they write a note. So they will then be able to, when they're at the board meeting, they'll be able to look and see what their notes said so that they can bring it up to ask that question if need be. So it's going to be really conducive to people looking at the packets early, getting all the information they can, and being as informed as they possibly can. So it's going to be great because our board, our elected officials will all have those devices. Our staff will be able to continually work with our village administrator to bring in all the memos and everything else if they have to do a presentation. So it's going to be outstanding for us, just because, making hundreds of copies every Friday afternoon is a rough go of it for our executive assistant, Courtney. So she's going to be happier than most people in regards to this. So
Once it gets going.
yeah,
you're
because
very
it'll
happy, I
literally
know.
send an email out to the staff and as well as the board, and then we'll also have an email that will residents will be able to sign up via RSS feed. And basically what that means is they'll be able to get a notification as soon as the board agenda is ready. So you don't have to go looking for it. It'll actually come to you. And you just click on the link, then you'll be able to see the agenda and in perfect timing. So we're pretty excited by that.
Yeah, we are too. And it'll make things a lot smoother for everybody. And
Correct.
as usual, that's what your job is here to kind of do, is just make that technology aspect smoother in any way we can.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. I was thinking about also, we have you on the show, and we want to talk about IT, and I was thinking, could you maybe paint a picture of like what your staff have to deal with on like a daily or weekly basis to some degree, or monthly basis? Some things that you work with that would be interesting to know for the residents?
Yeah, so what we do is we have a ticketing system. So if people email basically this shared mailbox and say exactly what their issue is, or what they need help with, whatnot, it will go to our entire team, myself, Jocelyn, and Daniel. And so we'll all take a look at the email, and then either I will say I'll take care of it, one of us will say basically I got it, and so then we would walk through whatever the steps are needed for it. So some tickets are much more involved than others. Some, it's like, well, this is a quick fix. I can go take care of it. There's others where it's only I have to be the one to deal with it because it's something that, I'm the one who's kind of leading the charge for it. So it's better for me to handle it than someone else, rather than me basically retraining my staff like, oh, this is where we are with this. I said, well, you know what? I know the full history. I'll take care of it. But then there's other pieces where I would immediately give it to Jocelyn or immediately give it to Daniel because that's kind of been their baby. So the way I work and I believe in my staff working is, I want them to feel the ability to take something from infancy all the way through. So from the conception of how we're going to deal with it and all the way to the end. So I think that's going to be really key for us as a staff. And so if they're working on a ticket, then let Daniel handle it. And then if he needs help, then he'll involve the rest of us. But chances are, they can usually handle it themselves. And then once they respond, and we have the ability to make comments, responses immediately in the ticketing system. And so that goes immediately back to the staff to say, hey, you put in this ticket, but could you elaborate further on what the issue is? And so we have that conversation. We have a historical aspect of that now. So if somebody else needs to come back later and say, okay, well, there was a problem once with this. How did we resolve it?
You have it saved. You know what you got to do.
Correct. And it's in real time. So as soon as we respond, it goes immediately back via email to the staff member. And then we address it. So that's our base of that happens. It's a daily occurrence. So we have, in a normal day, we may get, probably 60 or 70 tickets because you realize that we have to deal with every staff member throughout the village, not just a village hall, but the police department, the fire department, public works.
Here at LNN.
LNN. So if, each of their requests some are simple and some are not so simple. So we even as much as, updating phones. So there's some where they'll put in a help desk ticket saying, hey, my phone is not charging any longer. I need to.
So you got to take care of phones too.
Yeah, so
People don't realize
every
that.
device we touch. So whether it be tablets, phones, iPads, computers. And so that's normal for us. That's what I would consider our low-hanging fruit. However, another aspect is obviously updates, to PCs, making sure that we have a cycle for how often we replace PCs. I tend to give people, depending on what level of user they are. So some people I'm like, well, they're more power users, so they need a higher end PC because of what they're doing.
I was saying that's us.
Yeah, so exactly. So we custom built yours, for example.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it was much cheaper for me to build a computer from scratch for you guys, as opposed to when we had the Macs before. I'm spending $6,000 on a computer, and I'm like, I could build a better computer for for about
or less.
Yeah, we instead of buying a $6,000 computer, I spent maybe about $1,800, and if I had to sell it, I'd probably get at least $5,000 for it.
Yeah, maybe more. Probably really more if you think about it.
At
These
least,
days with everything.
Yeah, with
all
everything
going up.
being increased right now anyway, especially with RAM. So we just have to understand that. And so every user is a little bit different, and we have a cycle of, every 2 to 2.5 years, we kind of look at each PC to see, okay, which ones do we need to change out and so forth. But that's part of it, as well as if someone does have an issue, we have the ability to we put a program in that is basically like the ability to remote into the PC and fix it from wherever location we're at. So it's a beautiful software piece that we're glad we got several years ago, and it allows us to fix things pretty quickly. So if it's
I will say, I've seen that on our end. It's fun. You guys will call up and be like, I'll have an issue, and you'll be like, well, let me see if I can remote in, and I'll just see the mouse start moving, and you guys are doing your thing while you're on the phone with me. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a little. Some people are a little intimidated by it. Like, well, it's Big Brother. Are you guys always on our computer? I'm like, no. I wish we had time to just mess with people's computers. I said, we're just, if I need to do it, I'll let you know that I'm going to be touching it.
You're all business. You're all business.
So whether it be Windows updates or other things, so there's certain things we strategically do so that, like we do all of our updates at night. So I try not to have updates during the day because it slows the PCs down and so forth. So there's certain things we schedule ahead of time. So that's typical for us as an IT department. And we're fairly small, but we do hit a lot of different things. So
Yeah, you do. You guys take care of quite a bit, and you seem like you're always, if you're not there right away, you get there pretty quick. Like it's
Correct.
going to be there as soon as you can.
yeah,
And I was just thinking there's another aspect that I think people don't realize that you deal with, which is the key access entry. You know, the little key fobs. We go up and you hit the door and it just unlocks automatically. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
yeah. So one of the things I realized is that we had an aging system at our police department. So about a little over a year ago, we changed out a bunch of the locks and jail cell doors and so forth, and we upgraded that computer software, went with a software that would be cloud-based, so we can make changes right away.
Anywhere you need to be.
Anywhere we need to. It's also a piece that can grow with us. So we have a separate camera system, obviously, for the police department, but they'll be able to merge the two together so that if we need to see a door, I can look at the card access and see when the last time someone accessed it, or I can look directly in the camera and see exactly, okay, who's there. They may press the button and it's not working. I can see, oh, that is who's supposed to be let in, and we can just remotely let them in. So
Wow.
we've been upgrading. We upgraded that at the police department last year, which was fabulous. They've been really happy with the changes because that was needed for over a decade. They've been needing really some changes over there. So we upgraded a lot of things there, as well as now we moving that same system village-wide. So we finished in September, we finished the village hall. So now the village hall and the police department are on the same system now. They've always been, everything's been disjointed for years around this village. So we're trying to just put everything together. And so it's been exciting to see now that we can look at one platform and know, okay, well, my fob's not working for this. So then we can either deactivate a fob, activate a fob, give someone access if they need it. And so we're doing that at the new Public Works building as well. So there's going to be
That's continuity across the board is probably.
yeah, it just makes
Just
sense.
helps.
It makes sense. And so then and that starts with even running the wires. We're at the point of, I'm really excited because we had this concept for years of what the building was going to look like. Then when I finally started seeing the bricks on the outside, oh, that was exciting. Then when the walls started going up, whoa, okay. Now the paint's up. So we're really close. We're hoping to, I'm working with our public works director. The idea is we'd like to be fully in there. I say June 1st. He was pushing for May 1st, but there's just a lot of moving
You're
parts.
always going to have that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of moving parts because there's lots of servers, there's racks, there's a lot of IT stuff that needs to be done in the background to make everything work.
It's that your job is all about background, and people kind of forget about the background, how much work has to go into that to make sure that it's solid.
Yeah.
So when those walls go up in the thing, we have access, but we don't want to have to access it right away. I mean, it should work on right away.
Yeah, and especially with the new Public Works building, half that building is actually going to be an emergency operations center. So
Right.
say we have a
Yeah.
catastrophe, a really big situation within the village, we'll basically have a command center built in over there that will allow us to be able to access cameras village-wide, access different resources that we need to do, so we can go in as a team. So all the elected officials, the directors, we can all go into one room and see all the different pieces that we need and make real decisions in real time because we'll have the information at our fingertips. And even if, God forbid, something happens at the police department, we want to basically, if the police department were flooded or something major happened, we'd be able to move everything to the EOC. They would have an area in the EOC that would allow them to have temporary operations, until we get everything. And it's just it'll be a matter of flipping that switch. But it's kind of like and it's funny. It's kind of like
Flipping that switch.
yeah, but the key is this. It's like the tree lighting, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you flip that switch, you hope all the lights go on. So we have to make sure that all the stuff
goes on.
is everything is going to work. In the event of an emergency, you don't need another part of an emergency. Is wondering, will it work? Will it work? So it's a matter of testing and being prepared. So that's our life, though. It's just a matter of just making sure all that stuff is working in the background and preparing it to work at the drop of a hat.
We could talk all day about IT. We got to know Fabian, the IT director, but I'd like to know maybe a little bit about Fabian, who you are at home, or what you do on your spare time. What do you do to unwind a little bit?
Yeah, so I love basketball. So I love sports in general. I used to play a lot. I was, in high school and college. I played in both. I played sports in high school and college, and I
You play
loved it.
basketball.
Yeah, well, I played basketball in high school, and ironically, no one would look at me now to know, but tennis was actually my best sport.
Tennis,
Yeah,
really?
so yeah, I loved tennis, and so when I was younger, it was my mom said, okay, you have to figure out a sport that you can play at when you're making business deals later on in life. And she's like, it's either golf or tennis. I didn't like golf. So I tried golf, and I'm like, this is
isn't
not
for you.
this is not for me. I said, let me try tennis. I love tennis. And so tennis was I love, yeah, as I said, it was my favorite sport.
And how much have you used that for the business side?
I haven't now because, and it's only because I've had 3 rotator cuff surgeries.
Yeah, that probably
So,
would set you back quite a bit.
Yeah, so because I've had so much rotator cuff surgeries, I don't play it now. And I'm like, if you'd have told me 15, 20 years ago that I would not be playing tennis, I would have never believed you, because I was on three state championship teams in high school. So
No
we were,
way.
yeah, I was I was probably the lower of we had 2 teams in my high school. It was kind of I won't say bougie. Well, it was a bougie high school. So the high school I went to was very, it was a lot of kids went there that were, a much higher tax bracket. And so because of that, I was on the second team.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while I'd play on the first team, but our second team always played our first team in tournaments because we'd always beat everyone else's first team. So it was interesting.
Yeah, it was just so exciting, isn't it? You got the same schools facing each other.
Yeah, it was always interesting. Like, okay, in the finals we have, so and so from St. John's and so from St. John's, and it was like, okay, well, but yeah, I love tennis. I really wanted my kids to play. They all liked it, but they didn't really like it like that. So they did a myriad of other sports, but I love basketball as well, and so I've coached basketball. That's what I do now to kind of get my mind away from other things when I don't want to think too much. I just want to enjoy people, and so it's a great way to have relationships. For me, it's been great with my kids. My boys all played basketball. My daughter played basketball, and then I still have one that plays in college, and then the other 2 aren't playing sports. But while my daughter is out of school anyway. But yeah, it's been great, and it's been a fabulous opportunity for me to get to know a lot of the kids in the community. So a lot of the kids still call me coach because I coached them in basketball or baseball. So that's kind of what I'm.
That's got to feel good going around.
Yeah,
and calling you coach.
It's kind of funny. It's great because you've had an impact in their lives, and so for me that's been that's been one of the biggest blessings in being in Lansing, is just feeling like I have relationships at the high school level, grade school level, with coaches, teachers, and students. And so, that's how I unwind, and that's kind of what gets me going, so to speak. And so I got back to it this year, and I'm really excited about doing so.
That's exciting. I know you mentioned it's good to know that you had an impact on their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that kind of wraps up my thoughts on the IT department as well. It has an impact on our lives in ways we don't ever fully realize. The last word we'd like to have today with you maybe is just, is there anything else towards the future you'd like people to know about, or just what about the IT department would you like residents to take away overall about what you're here to provide?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've always been hearing about, so I get random emails from residents asking about, we want to have they have trouble with speeds of internet at home. And so they have different providers throughout whether it be, Comcast,
Comcast,
AT&T,
yeah.
whatever. So they have different providers, but they still always want more options. Everyone wants options, right? And so over the years, I've gotten a slew of emails. The mayor's gotten a slew of emails from people saying, okay, what else can we do to provide more options for our residents? And so one of the projects that I'm working on right now is the ability to we're going to have another provider come in that's going to have really extremely low cost internet for the residents, and that will be fiber based. So it'll be a competition to, whether it be, whoever they have currently as a internet provider. But I mean, you're talking half the cost.
Wow,
Half the
that would be
cost
amazing.
and usually double the speed, because they will. And the beauty of it is that we as a municipality wouldn't actually pay for it, because they put it on our right of way. So it'd be on areas throughout the village. And so we've been working with the staff, talking about what that looks like. And people always want more options, and I think it'll be great for us for options for the residents, but also even for our staff, because we won't have, it's basically we'll be able to create what we call a mesh network in the village, so that wherever you are in the village, you'll always have high speed internet. You'll always have radio, the ability for radios to connect. And so wherever our police officers, fire department, wherever they go, whether it be incorporated or unincorporated Lansing, they'll know that they have connectivity to the outside world.
That sounds amazing. I know
Yeah.
I would sign up for
Yeah,
that.
it
in a
was actually
heartbeat.
one of my original goals when I first started here at the village, and I was like, well, it's a pipe dream, and
No, it's
maybe
not.
eventually, but I think we're working with different staff. I think we're going to get there. And so yeah, there's been some communities around the country that have done this. Google, I know, has done some stuff like this in Kansas City and other places, but we're pretty excited that we've been doing our due diligence with this company to make sure that that they can provide what they say, and I think it'll be great for us.
Said pipe dream. That's got to be a real good feeling to see it possibly coming to fruition. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like you said with the building, you're finally seeing that come together.
Correct.
So you got to be really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, and it won't take that long actually. A year from now, the first wave will be done. So we believe so.
Well, we'll have you back on the show a year from now so we can get the update on that.
Okay.
And as always, it's just great to have you on the show. We love hearing about IT. We want to hear more, so come on back. And we just want to thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure. It's been, as I said, it's great to inform people of things that they may not be fully aware of.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.